Battle lines. We get back to a look at the Bajoran culture quite a bit with this one, as we reveal kind of the Bajoran Pope or Dalai Lama or whatever you want to give it an allegory for, the Kai. And this is Kai Opaka, who shows up on the station, and we see a religious side of Kira, who's very, very deferential and obviously respects the Kai quite a bit. The Kai is touring the station, and she wants to go see the wormhole because that's the eye of the prophets. And they end up going through the wormhole in an episode where there's not a lot of that in the first season. I think there's only 2 or 3 episodes where we actually go through the wormhole and see the other side there. Maybe only 2. Maybe the emissary was it. The emissary was when they went in there, and this one they actually end up on a planet on the other side, one of the closest ones. And interesting plot here. So they show up, and there's this culture that's just fighting each other, and our crewmates are trapped in the middle after a crash landing. They end up kind of on one side, and Cisco tries to mediate a peace between the two sides unsuccessfully. And Kai Opaka dies right away, and it's just terrible for Kira. It's a very emotional sort of deal. And this is a pretty interesting development for the Bajoran faith as things, it actually changes the whole tone of Deep Space Nine later on because of what happens with the whole Kai plotline. But we see a first change in sort of the status quo of Deep Space Nine and getting into this here. And this is a template for what ends up becoming interesting later on as they're going to other planets and they're interacting with the Gamma Quadrant and the like. I feel like they really tried to up that once they got into the second and third seasons especially, and then of course the war develops and it changes everything again, which made the show a lot more interesting. When they're doing these little procedurals on the station with little political dramas, it can get boring pretty fast, and that's a lot of the problem with the first season in a nutshell. So this is a very different status quo. We'll get into this a little bit more. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join my newsletter here. I am a science fiction writer. If you like Deep Space Nine, I write wonderful science fiction I think you're absolutely going to love. Get here. Get 3 free books from me. Thank you guys so much for signing up on here. I've got a lot coming in the future, and I'm writing like a madman as much as I can. I appreciate you guys being here. So Battle Lines is a pretty interesting thing, like I said. What ends up happening is the big twist is that these people are kept alive by nanites on the planet, and so another ship gets dispatched with O'Brien and Dax on it, and they're going to go pick them up and the like, but they have to deal with this whole nanite field and this whole defense system, which is what shot them down to begin with. And once they kind of figure that out, they can pick up everybody on the planet. The problem is the people on the planet die, and then they get resurrected by the nanites, and then they can only live there with the nanites. And so they're kind of stuck there, and they're trapped there once they've died. So the characters who have died are stuck there, including Kai Opaka, who then volunteers to stay behind so she can try to get these people back to peace at the very end of it. Very cool, and a very cool religious leader sort of actually walking the walk of peace and actually staying with it. She thinks it's her purpose. She thinks it's prophesized and the like. And wow, pretty big deal right here. Now, one thing that's interesting is it never gets followed up on in the series, right? So she's just there, and it's okay, we just did the Star Trek thing where we completely forgot about this, kind of like we completely forgot that people can only travel at warp 5 now without destroying the fabric of the universe. But hey, we're just going to ignore that forever now. That episode happened. Now, because if this is just on the other side of the wormhole, why can't she just stay in contact with the Bajoran people? Why can't she still be the Kai? Why don't the Bajorans make some sort of establishing contact out of there? They just don't. They just leave her there and pretend she's dead. It's kind of weird, right? And so that's what they did, which allows for the political turmoil and Kai win and all those the rest to rise. And of course, as that happens and Kira knows about it, why doesn't she just say, hey, Kai Opaka is actually alive right there. We don't need this. Really would reset everything throughout the whole series, and it doesn't make any sense if you really think about it. Now, they do bring her back in the novelization. So once they do the Deep Space Nine relaunch, Kai Opaka comes back because they find a way to get her off planet Fine at that point with Jake Sisko as part of the prophetic sort of deal. And they didn't do a ton with the relaunch, unfortunately. They really set up a really nice thing, and then it kind of just went by the wayside. But at that point, she did get referenced again. At least the novels tried to follow up on some stuff that happened here. I liked this episode quite a bit. It was pretty action packed, and like I said, the religious bits with Bajor really upped the world building and a lot of cool things. We got to see the Gamma Quadrant for real. We got to see, of course, Captain Sisko in action, which was kind of nice. And so this was one of the more solid episodes of season 1. It's just a pity that they really didn't follow up on it and establish relations with this planet and then utilize it for something in the future, because that would have been cool. But they didn't, really start following up on Deep Space Nine episodes and the like until season 3, season 4, where they try to change things up a little bit. And, and they forget everything that happens in season 1 and season 2. Oh, well. 8 out of 10 from me. Good stuff. Please hit the like and subscribe button and join us. And please sign up for my newsletter if you like my thoughts on science fiction. Appreciate you guys for being here and watching. We'll be back soon.